Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our forum here in the city of Parksville. So tonight we're going to start with a public hearing, and then once that is terminated, we will continue on with our council meeting. And I will get things underway right now. I'm going to call our public hearing to order for Monday, October 7th. And I'd like our corporate officer to introduce the public hearing process and the first item on the agenda, please.
Yes, Your Worship. The Local Government Act requires that a public hearing be held before a council adopts an amendment to the zoning bylaw or official community plan bylaw. Copies of the Director of Community Planning's reports and related information respecting the subject amendment bylaws have been available for public examination at the offices of the Planning Department in Parksville Civic and Technology Center and on the city's website. At this public hearing, all persons who deem their interest in property affected by a proposed bylaw shall be afforded an opportunity to be heard on matters contained within the bylaw. Anyone wishing to be heard on a specific bylaw amendment must come to the microphone at the appropriate time and clearly give their name and civic address. The council members request that speakers restrict discussion to the application on hand, which is the proposed use of the land. Members of council may ask questions of persons after they have made their presentation. However, the main function of council members this evening is to listen to the presentations and not to engage in debate. Whether you are for or against any particular bylaw during the course of a public hearing, council would ask that you not display any outbursts as a courtesy to all present this evening. No presentations or submissions will be received by council on any application after the motion for termination of the public hearing for that application has been adopted. Lastly, when a public hearing item has been terminated, council requests those persons wishing to leave the council chamber do so in a quiet and orderly manner in order that the public hearing may commence with the next item on the agenda. First item on the agenda this evening is Zoning and Development Amendment Bylaw 2013 number 2000.90. The subject property is located at 780 Stanhope Road and 577 Pym Street. The purpose of the proposed amendment is to change the zoning designation from single-family residential SLR1 zone to small lot residential SLR1 zone to allow for a single-family residential subdivision in a small lot format. One item of correspondence has been received in response to this application from Elaine Hofer, 655 Temple Street, Parksville, advising she is against the proposed designation and questions the rationale for lot sizes below the regular lot size minimum of 560 square meters. Ms. Hofer contends small lots invade and impose on neighbors, and the proposal to utilize frosted glass on second-floor rear-facing windows is not sufficient to adequately address neighborhood privacy concerns. In conclusion, Ms. Hofer states she sees no reason for council to allow small lots in this subdivision.
All right, thank you. So now, ladies and gentlemen, for 3 times, but I'll start with the first time, I'm going to invite anyone who would like to speak to come forward to the microphone, and I would ask that you give your name and civic address for the record. Yes, sir.
Al Pastors, 211 Lodgepole Drive in Parksville. Given that this council has already approved a number of Hobbit House lots, in particular on Stanhope and on Despard, with none built to date, would it not be prudent and wise to hold off on this concept of teeny tiny lots until the already approved ones are built so that we and you, general public, can see the final product? All you're doing now is shooting from the hip in the dark without knowing what the end product will be or its saleability. Saleability becomes important because having empty, unsaleable houses is the start of slum creation. Thank you.
Thank you. For a second time, is there anyone who would like to speak? Yes, sir. Please come forward.
Excuse me. I'm Herb Welch, 785 Sanderson Road in Parksville, and I look directly across at that property, across the park. And I am concerned that the small lot residential zoning, because of the small footprint, will devaluate the existing SR lots in my area. Granted, the proposal in the 4.12 acre parcel, there is a restrictive covenant limiting the size to not less than 420 square meters, or 25 square meters. If for some reason the developer does not carry through with this project, and in the future it is sold to another developer, it can be now then developed by small lot residential. I feel that the existing RS 560 square meter lots are the right size for Parksville. Therefore, I recommend that the Parksville City Council vote no at the third reading of the proposed zoning change. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
There's one comment I'd like to say. The acoustics in this building are terrible.
All right. Thank you, sir. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm about to call for the third time, and I want to make sure if you did indeed come tonight to speak to this, that you have an opportunity. So when I call that for the third time, if you are interested in speaking, please come forward to the front row so I can be assured that everyone's had an opportunity. I do see, ma'am, you in the back, so I will now for the third time ask if there's anyone who wishes to speak to this issue to please come forward. This is the third and final call. So, ma'am, I think, did you raise your hand to speak as well? Okay. All right. So this is the third and final call. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Mayor Berger and Council. My name is Norman Patterson. I'm a longtime resident of the City of Parksville. I reside at 843 Gatchen Street in Parksville. I wish to speak to the Zoning and Development Amendment Bylaw 2013 number 200.90 concerning the change in the zoning designation from SRS1 to small lot residential. The item I wish to address in this is the lack of consultation to the OCP on the small lot residential. I was on the OCP committee. We had very little discussion on this. It was touched on very briefly. I even went down to see our city planner, and I asked for more explanation on this, and I was assured that this was something that was going to be restricted to very small areas within the city of Parksville. I was shown a map, and a map area that showed that this was a transitional zoning between RS1 and larger, higher density multifamily, and he was assured that this type of zoning would not apply to the rest of the areas of Parksville. And I think it's disingenuous that this being a major land use policy change for the city of Parksville, a major one of the more major ones we've had in a number of years, was not given sufficient time to be reviewed in the OCP, nor was it given sufficient time even in the press to explain to the people of Parksville what this zoning change was. And I think it was very disingenuous on the council's part to last October, I believe it was in October, when this zoning change was actually made. And so I would say to everyone here on council, I would like you to turn this application down and turn this back to far more public consultation, far more than it ever got when we were in the middle of the OCP meetings. And if you wish to continue on with this particular zoning, which is a number of them seem to be popping up all over the area now in areas far beyond which was ever indicated to myself by the planning department here that they'd ever show up, that everyone in this room, everyone in the city of Parksville, and the press would remember this next time the election comes up and ask some very pointed questions of anyone who's going to be running for city council. My opinion was this is wrong what happened. I do believe this is quietly snuck in the background, and it was not fair to the residents of Parksville. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, seeing no further speakers at this time, I'm going to ask Council for a motion to terminate the public hearing for Zoning and Development Amendment Bylaw 2013 number 2000.90. Moved by Councilor Greer, seconded by Councilor Lefebvre. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Hearing is terminated, and I need one more quick item of business, and that's a mover and a seconder to adjourn the public hearing. Moved by Councilor Lefebvre, seconded by Councilor Paul Davidson. All in favor? Opposed? And the public hearing stands adjourned. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move